welcome back to the channel, and today we've got another Age of Sigmar battle report, which Lucy obviously finds hilarious. Liam has brought his Seraphon. Seraphon. Liam's an old school fantasy player, so there'll always be Lizardmen. We have started to expand our armies. Liam's got a little bit more than 1,000 painted, but we've just brought...
Square bases, Lizardmen.
Fair enough, and we're not one to argue with square bases. Like I said though, the armies are getting expanded. Liam's got a little over 1,000 points painted. Lucy's got the Stormcast, the Glitterati of course. And you want to kill some lizards? Right, and with that let's have a look at the armies.
That's how you record it.
Right, so here we go guys, this is 1,000 points of Lucy's Stormcast, and the general today is Lord Celestant on Dracoth. He has legendary fighter for +1 attack and a Quicksilver potion. The other hero is going to be Lord Castellan, not running around with his Gryphound today. We then have 4 battle line units. We've got a unit of 5 Adjudicators, and the prime there has the Shock Bolt. We've got a unit of 5 Liberators with swords and a Grand Blade on there. And actually this is going to be one unit of 10 Liberators with a Grand Hammer and of course the prime in there as well. And finally we have a unit of Retributors with 2 Star Soul Maces, rounding off exactly 1,000 points of Stormcast Eternals. Right, so here we go, this is 1,020 points of Lizardmen.
Right, so we've got 2 Saurus Old Bloods. The albino one will be the leader of the army. He has legendary fighter and the Phoenix Stone. They both have Celestial War Spears. Next I have a 20 block of Saurus Warriors that have Celestial Spears. I then have a 10-man unit of Skinks with Bolt Spitters. That's my 2 battle lines. I then have 2 units of Chameleon Skinks. They have their Dark Pipes. And finally I have a Basilodon with his Searing Beam.
No problem, and that's 1,020 points of Lizardmen. Right guys, so here we go after deployment. Today's mission is Blood and Glory, where at the end of the game, if you control all 4 objectives, or whoever controls the most wins. If you control all 4 at the end of battle round 3, then you win by a major victory. So both armies are going to be advancing across this beautiful desert mat supplied by urbanmats.com, and of course this lovely pre-painted rock terrain is also available from Urban Mats. A massive shout out to them for supplying these to us. Right, so Liam's got his Skinks and then his Saurus, Basilodon, and the 2 heroes hiding in there. Your other 2 units of Skinks are off the board as per their deployment rules. Meanwhile, Lucy's counter deployment, she's got the Adjudicators on one side, the Retributors, Castellan and Lord Celestant in the middle, and the Liberators marching down the other side. Now Liam did finish setting up first, but he's elected for Lucy to go first. So let's move on to Stormcast turn 1. Right, so movement and running. Lucy has moved everything forward. These guys just shuffling around, staying in cover from the impending Saurus Warrior charge. The Liberators staying here. Celestant and Castellan and the Retributors taking the point at centre. Unfortunately, these guys only rolled a 1 for their run, so only moving 5 inches. The Adjudicators meanwhile pushing forward, and they can see across at the Skinks. So, shooting phase, who are these guys shooting, Lucy?
The Skinks.
At the Skinks. So 3s to hit, and then the prime hits on the 2. For D6, that's 4. 3s to wound. And it is -1 rend, but do the Skinks ignore the rend, Liam? Right, so because Liam's Skinks are armed with Starbuckles and Bolt Spitters, Liam does ignore the -1 rend, and he gets +1 armor save for being in cover. And we've got a 6-up save normally.
Yep, so 5 up.
5 up, yeah, on 4 dice. And he makes.
Oh.
Is that just the 1? You don't have to take closest in Age of Sigmar though, Liam, so if you wanted, you can take the one from the back so that your bolt spears are within range. There we go. Right, so those guys are automatically going to pass the bravery thanks to being bravery 10. And that is it for Lucy's turn. Let's move on to Lizardman Battle Round 1. Sorry, Seraphon.
Lizardman.
Battle Round. Right, so going into Lizardman Battle Round 1. This albino is going to be using Paragon of Order, and what that means is Liam can select any model in this Saurus unit, and everybody else can move 3 inches around him. So it essentially grants him a 3-inch move. So let's move into that and the movement phase at the same time. Right, so Liam's just done that 3-inch move there. This guy is the one that stayed still, but as you can see, everybody else pushes forward 3 inches. And then they're going to get to move 6, and that's going to probably put them within charge range of Lucy's Stormcast. So let's do the rest of Liam's move. Right, so in the movement phase, Liam's just shuffled these guys up. He doesn't want to get within charge range of the Retributors down here. The Skinks at that side have just pushed forward, and the Bastiladon is starting to move around as well. But over this side, the unit of Skinks has deployed, and they're going to be using, I want to say, blowpipes.
Yep.
So they have 2 attacks each, hitting on 3s. Right, so that's 6 hits. The 6s, if they wound, do 2 damage each, and then 4 wounds on the other one. So wounding on 4s, are there?
Yep.
So wounding to 4 with 4 dice. That is 2 wounds. Lucy, 2 armor saves. 4+, and that is 1 wound on one of the guys, but then these ones, if they wound, do 2 damage. Oh, that is 4 damage, 2 armor saves, and she saves them both. Fantastic. Right, so the second unit straight behind is going to do exactly the same thing, so hitting on 3s. So 2 6s there and 5 to wounds, so wounding on 4s. That is just the 1 wound, Lucy, 4, which she makes, and then 2 damage each if these wound. 1 wound, so 1 more 4, which she passes. Fantastic. Right, I think the Bastiladon is going to be going next. Right, so the Bastiladon has 2d6 shooting attacks. That's 9. Hitting on 4s, was it?
Yep.
Hitting on 4s. That's a fair few hits. So 5 hits, wounding on 3s. That's 4 wounds. Lucy has a 2-up reduced to a 3-up, but she re-rolls the 1 and fails it. So that's 2 failed. That's 4 wounds altogether. He's down to 3 wounds already. Right, so with that, that is the end of Battle Round 1. Who is going first for Battle Round 2? Lucy rolls a 3, Liam rolls a 2, so that is Lucy going first. Right, so movement phase and hero phase. Lord Celestant has used Lord of the Host, and Castellan has used the Warding Lantern on Celestant to try and keep him alive a little bit longer. These guys moved and ran an inch, but the Sword Judicators have moved and ran 10. Lucy's going to try and bring them over here next turn to take on these guys. The Retributors and Lord Celestant has moved forward. Lord Celestant's Storm Breath is going to hit the front Saurus guard there and just be within 2 inches of the Bastiladon. So, shooting phase, Storm Breath. So 4+ it goes off on the Saurus guard. No, that's a 3. And the Bastiladon, no, that's a 2. Unlucky roll in there. What's next? The Judicators?
Yeah.
And where they're shooting?
The
Skinks up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so hitting on 3s. That's a single hit.
Ooh. Oh my god.
And that's 1 wound, no. 1 ren normally, but Liam's obviously in cover and ignores it.
Come on, Skinks. Survive. Yes!
Right. On to charges. Who's charging? Are you daring to charge Celestant, or are you going to keep him back? Right, so charge phase, Lucy electing not to charge. It's very long distance, and she's got a little trick up her sleeve in case Liam charges. So, not a lot happening there, no wounds dished out at all, but straight on to Seraphon, turn 2. Right, so hero phase, Liam is going to use Paragon of Order from the Albino here, and he's going to move these guys back as he doesn't want them charged by Lucy's Stormcast that are heading up the field, but it also means he can make way for the Bastiladon to go forward as well. So let's do that and the movement. Right, so Liam has done that reform move and his movement phase, and everything has pulled back. The hero's pulled back, the Bastiladon has moved back, it is just within 20 inches of Lord Celestant there as well. And I think he's going to be firing. The skinks have all remained where they are though, on the outskirts up here as well. So Liam, shooting phase, what is happening first?
The 2 squads of skinks are going to shoot into the archers back there.
No problem. So the first squad, or do you want to do these at the same time?
I'll do them one at a time.
No problem. So the front squad first. Was it forced to hit?
Yep. Oof.
That's a lot. 6s doing, that's 3 6s. So 4 to wound rolls, forced to wound? 3s.
4s.
So that's 2 armor saves Lucy. Passes them both. And then 3 to wound rolls with the 6s. That's 2 more, so 2 doing 2 damage each. She fails 1 and passes 1, so that'll kill the guy that's wounded, and then the wound will move along to one of the others. Right, second volley from the second squad of skinks at the back. Fair few hits. Right, so no 6s, but 7 hits there, wounding now on 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, 6 to wound rolls of a 4. That's 6 armor saves for Lucy. Can she make it? She fails 2, so she loses 1 guy and another one takes a wound. It's not too bad. Right, next up we've got the Bastiladon at Lord Celestant. 2d6 shots. 7 shots. He's hitting on 4s.
Oof. None.
Nothing. Oh, nasty, nasty stuff there. Are these guys shooting or are they out of range?
Out of range.
Right, so I believe that's turn. Right, very, very quick rounds, baiting each other in for the charges here. But it's now to dice off for battle round 3. So who is going first here? Liam rolls a 5, Lucy a 2, which means it's the double turn for the Seraphon. And I think I can guess what's coming up. So Liam can use his hero ability to reform the 3 and then move and charge if he wishes. But he's also got a number of shots to come in as well. Right, so Liam has used Aspiring Presence in the hero phase on this giant unit of Saurus Guard because he thinks that these guys are going to come in and hit hard. Liam's decided to basically move towards this objective a little bit to try and stop Lucy from taking it, because if she charges, he's going to have to pile in towards the objective, bringing more models even closer, stopping her from getting that. All of the skinks though have just remained where they are, and that is it. So onto the shooting phase, Liam. What's going first?
The skinks back there, the chameleon.
Yep, front unit,
Yep.
the Judicators.
Yep.
Okay, hitting on 3s. Any 6s? No 6s there. Wounding on 4s. And there's one more there, mate. So just 3 armor saves of 4+. And she fails 2, so that leaves 1 guy on 1 wound, and of course Prime. And then the other unit, Judicator still.
Yep.
Can he bring them down? Oh my word, there is 4 6s to hit.
1 miss.
And 1 miss, that's not good. So do you want to do the 6s first?
Yeah, sure.
Force to wound. That is 3 to wounds, and this is doing 2 wounds each. So if Lucy fails 2, she fails all 3, which would kill the entire squad anyway. Right, next up.
Don't fail me this time.
The Stilodon, Lord Celestant.
Yep.
2d6. 5. Hitting on 4s.
Yep. Woo!
4 hits. Wounding on 3s. That's 2 wounds, -1 rend, so Lucy has a 3-up save.
Dead.
Double 2 for 2 damage each. Oh my word. Very, very unlucky there. Anything but a 2.
Walls I've ever known.
And Lord Celestant goes down, unfortunately. Right, so with that, Lord Celestant has been cut down, and that is the end of battle round 3 for the Seraphon. Can the Stormcast make a comeback though with Lord Celestant being cut down? That was Lucy's heavy hitter. That's 25% of the points of this force nearly. And Liam is controlling 3 objectives. Lucy's going to have to do some work, I think, to try and get these back. Right, so there we go, movement phase. The Liberator's moving 5, looking for a charge against these Saurus Guard. The Retributor's also looking to charge. Castellan moving forward slightly as well. And the Liberators with the dual swords moving their 5. It's going to be a long charge to get them into this cover where the skinks are, but hopefully Lucy can make it. She does regain control of this objective because she has more models within 6 inches than what Liam does. In the hero phase at the beginning though, she did use the Warden Lantern on Lord Castellan on the Liberators. So the Liberators now have a 3+ armor save, re-rolling 1s thanks to the shield. Unfortunately though, there's no shooting this turn, so on to charges. Right, so we've got 3 charges. Lucy's going to try and charge these at the front unit of skinks. 8-inch charge, does she make it? 8, she does. We'll move them in a second, but next up we've got the Retributors. It's an 8-inch charge to the Saurus Guards. They don't make it. But then the Liberators got a 7-inch charge, which they fail as well. Oh my word. This is not looking good for the Stormcast. Right, so with this being the only successful charge that Lucy managed to make, she's going to be rolling up all of the attacks. She's decided to change the dice though. So the swords hit on 3s, re-rolling the 1s, just the 1. That's every single hit.
Ouch.
Yep. Wounding on 4s.
Oh, he died. He's the loudest attack.
Yeah, he is. That's not so good though.
The Grand Hammer hit.
Right, so you do ignore rend with these, don't you? Or do you not?
-1.
Minus.
I ignore -1 to rend.
Right, okay. So, right, so the Grand Blade there getting 2 wounds through. It does have -1 rend, which Liam ignores, so he's still got his 3-up cover save for being in there, but this is 2 damage each. 2 dice, Liam, 2 saves of 3+.
Nope.
So 1 goes through, and that does 2 damage, killing 2 of them. You've then got 4 wounds, 4 saves to make of your 3+ as well. So that would actually be 3 of the 5 dead. Right, so that kills 3 of them. Liam has 2 attacks, hitting on 5s, wounding on 5s.
I believe.
Yay! What's the bravery of them, by the way?
10.
Right, so they're automatically going to pass anyway, because even if you roll a 6, that would make 9, and you would pass. So yeah, that is Stormcast turn. Alright, so dicing off for battle round 4. Lucy desperately needs this to get that charge off against them Saurus Guard. Lizardmen. Battle round 4 incoming, and yeah, Liam sticking that sly, snaky tongue out there. Right, hero phase. Liam's got a little bit of a plan with these. Right, so in the hero phase, Liam has used disappear from sight with those 2 skinks that were there, and they've reappeared over here to control this objective. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the hero phase, this guy has used Aspiring Presence on the Saurus Guard because Liam doesn't want them to break when he's moved, and he's going to charge. He reckons probably the Liberators. and the Bastiladon is going to be going for the Retributors. So yeah, shooting phase. Are we doing the Skinks over here first?
Yep.
At the Liberators?
Yes.
Okay, so hitting on 3s, 6s. Looking for 6s really. 1, 6. So 4 to wound rolls of a 4. So just the 1 and then the 6 to wound of a 4. Wounds. So 1 normal, 4+ save. Which she fails, and then 1 doing 2 damage, which she also fails. So kills 1 and puts 1 on 1 wound. Meanwhile down here, these 2 guys are going to shoot into these Liberators. 4 shots, no hits. What's up next?
Oh wait, there was 1 hit. I rolled 1 3.
You did, sorry, my bad. And that's a wound, so Lucy still has a 3 up on these guys and re-rolling 1s. 3 up, and makes it like a boss. So, what's next?
I will fire the Bastiladon into... Actually, I'm going to change the target that I said I was going to go for originally, and I'm going to aim at these guys.
Yep.
2d6, 5.
Yep. Hitting on 4s. 1 hit. Wounding on 3s though. That's a wound, -1 rend, which means Lucy's back down to a 4, re-rolling the 1, and she passes it.
Woo!
Not bad at all. So, let's move on to the charge phase. Of course, in Age of Sigmar, you do get to roll your charge distance first before you decide your target. So Liam, Saurus Guard, and that's a 4-inch charge, so he's just going to make it in, obviously being 3 inches away. Bastiladon, is he going to go for a charge?
Yes.
How far can he charge? He can charge 9 inches, so he can make it to the Retributors or the Liberators, I reckon. Right, so there we go. The Saurus Guard have charged 4 inches, getting Liam just within range of quite a few of them, but leaving quite a bit of space to pile in. And their spears have a 2-inch reach as well, so the second rank is still going to get to attack after they're piled in. The Bastiladon has also made it into the Retributors. Liam, who are you activating first?
The Bastiladon.
No problem. How many attacks does he have?
He has 3 attacks.
Okay, hitting on
3s.
Yep. 2 hits, wounding on. Right, so that's 2 hits, wounding on 3s, did you say?
Yep.
1 wound at -1 rend, so that's a 5 up save, Lucy. Which she fails, but that does D3 damage, Liam. For 2. So that'll wound 1 of those down to 1 wound. Next up is Lucy's turn. Right, so Lucy is electing to go with the Liberators next. She knows that those guys aren't going to take any more damage. So let's get these guys piled in and work out their attacks. Right, so the Liberators have now piled in. Each of these guys has 2 attacks. The Prime has 3, and there's a Grand Hammer. That's a total of 19 hammer attacks and 2 Grand Hammers, hitting on 4s. That's not so good. Right, so only 9 hits there, wounding now on 3s. So that's 6 wounds. Liam needs to make 6 saves now. 6 5-up saves on the Saurus Guard. And Lucy actually kills 4 of them. So Liam can take from anywhere that he wants. Right, so Liam has 16 normal attacks now down here from the Saurus Guard, hitting on 4s. 7 hits, wounding on 3s, but re-rolling 1s because this one guy is within 5 inches of Liam's hero. So 3s re-rolling 1s. A couple of 2s there, but 3 1s. Wow, 2 wounds. These guys, any rend on that?
No.
No, so 3 up Lucy, re-rolling 1s. There's a 2, but re-roll the 1. And she passes it. So 1 guy takes a wound, but Saurus Guard now bite, don't they?
Yeah.
That's an extra attack each. And what does this hit on?
5 and 4.
Hitting on 5s. Wow! 10 out of 16 hits there. Wounding on 4s, but still rerolling 1s.
Yep.
Holy cow, wow. So that's what, 3? So there we go, that's 4, 5, 6, 7 armor saves of 3 plus Lucy. Reroll the 1s. So just 1 wound, plus the wound earlier means she loses 1 Liberator. Right, next up, the Retributors. We need to pile them in and swing against the Bastillodon. So if we get those piled in, round to there. So 2d3 Star Soul Mace Lucy. That's 5 wounds. Liam, the Bastillodon has essentially a ward save against mortal wounds of a 4+. Come on. And he saves 2, 3 wounds go through. Next up, we've got 7 attacks from the hammers. And the hammers hit on 3s, yeah?
Yeah.
But 6s do 2 mortal wounds. There's a 6 for 2 mortal wounds, so we'll work that one out now. 2 forps. So another wound off the Bastillodon. The rest of them actually hit. You wound on 3s. Wow! So that's another 6 wounds. This is rend -1. Does he ignore the rend?
Yes.
He does. So 3 up armor save. 1, 2, 3, 4, causing 8 wounds on top of, how many did Soul Maces do? 5, 3?
Turtle Boy is dead.
Turtle Boy's dead. Yay. Bearing in mind there's been a little bit of rivalry going on between Liam and Lucy. They had quite a few practice games before we played this game. Obviously both of them helping each other out with the rules for Sigmar and stuff. And how many times has Dracoth and Bastillodon died?
Time?
Mine's died 3, others died 4 or 5.
Yeah, like I said folks, everyone's been expanding the armies and Liam and Lucy have been playing each other a fair bit, but this is the first game that they both had in a while, and you know what? It's nice to see that both of your big guys have gone down. Yeah. Right, so that is the end of turn.
Shock.
Apart from Lucy's Battle Shock. Liam doesn't need to take an Unfortunate because he used Aspiring Presence. Liberator's Bravery 6, so if Lucy rolls a 6 here, she'll lose another model.
Now I get the 6.
So unfortunately that means another Liberator is gone. Right, so Hero Phase. Castellan is using the Warden Lantern on the Liberators to keep them there longer and hold up them Saurus Guard for as long as possible. Now 3+ rerolling the 1s proving very, very useful here. If they were in terrain, that would be a 2-up rerolling 1. So the Lantern protecting the Liberators. We've now got a few bits of movement to do for Lucy, and then on to combats. Right, so movement phase log. Castellan has pulled back, and he's going to take these 2 skinks out to hopefully get Lucy this objective. These guys, I'm guessing, are going to move and then charge towards these ones, and then Lucy can move back to grab this objective. However, in the centre here, these Retributors, however, Lucy's going to try and go for the bigger squad of skinks over here. If those guys make it, they will make a mess of them skinks, but it is a 7-inch charge. If she doesn't roll high enough though, she can come back into the Saurus Guard, and between the Retributors and the Saurus Guard, she should be able to do quite a lot of damage. And if she outnumbers Liam for models, it means she's with a better chance of controlling the 4 objectives. Right, so these Liberators charging, just needing a 3. And 4-inch charge just makes it. Next up, Castellan, needing a 7 to make it to the skinks. And he only makes it on a 5, he doesn't get in unfortunately. Meanwhile the Retributors, ideally you want a 7. 8, they're going to make it in, so Lucy's going to have the pick of the litter. Right, so combat phase, everybody has made it in. The Retributors have gone after the skinks. Lucy is electing to hit with the Liberators down here first. That's 15 attacks plus 2 for the Grand Hammer, hitting on 4s. That's not bad. And then wounding on 3s. So 5 wounds there, no rend. 5-up save, is it?
Yep.
saves 2, 3 of the Saurus Guard go down. Right, so Liam lost 3 models then. He chose to take them from this side because these guys, he wants as many within 6 of the objective as he can get. Next up though, these skinks are going to be piling in and attacking. Right, so the skinks up next, 10 attacks, hitting on 6s. 1, wounded on 5s. That's a wound. 3 up save, Lucy, or 1 guy goes down because he's on a wound. 4 up save, sorry. She makes it on a 6. Next up, what are you going with next?
These liberators here.
Okay, so that you've got a prime, 3 attacks plus 2 guys there, equaling 7 attacks, and then 2 from your Grand Blade. So these hit on 3s and reroll 1s because the opposite way around with the hammers. The 1 for the Grand Blade can't reroll because it needs to be a paired weapon, but you can reroll this 1 over here. So that's 3 misses altogether, and then you're wounding on 4s. So that's 2, 3 wounds, but 1 does 2 damage if it goes through. So do the 1 for 2 damage.
-1.
Skinks ignore it. So the Ren -1 still affecting the skinks in cover. They're on a 3 up save because they're in cover, dropped to a 4 up for 2 damage if this 1 wound goes through. And it does, so that's 2 damage, killing 2 of them. And then you've got 2 saves for 1 damage each at 3+. And that kills another 1, so that's 3 of those guys gone. Right, next up the Saurus Guard, 13 attacks at the Liberators. Hitting on
4s.
Wounding on 4s, rerolling 1 because he's still within 5 inches of the hero. So that's 3 wounds. Lucy still has a 3 up save and rerolling 1s. No rend on that? Nope. Reroll the 1. And so that's 1 wound suffered. And then you've got 13 bites. Hitting on 5s, was it?
Yep.
What is with you and your bites? That's a fair few hits still. And it's wounded on 3s this, isn't it?
Yes.
Rerolling 1s.
Not 3s, 4s.
4s rerolling 1s. So that's 2 wounds. 3 up save. She makes it. So that's just 1 wound suffered by them. Lucy, over to the Retributors. So 2 D3 mortal wounds. For 6. And then you've got 7 attacks with the giant hammers. I can't even remember what they're called. 6s here doing mortal wounds. Hitting on 3s. 6s doing mortal wounds. So that's 2 mortal wounds, Liam. And then you've got 4 hits. Wounding on 3s. So that's 3 more. But they have the shields though, don't they? So they ignore the rend.
Yep.
Right. So they have a 3+ in cover.
No. A 5.
Right, so a 5 up save then. Which does 2 damage each, that's for 6, so that would kill the entire squad. Meanwhile, the Chameleon Skink over here, 2 attacks, 5s and 5s. Nothing. Wow, so Battle Shock, Liam ignores it here with the guard. Lucy didn't lose any models that turn. Castellan did fail that charge there, but I feel she definitely brought it back in her favour on that turn. If she can get start of turn, is this 4? Turn 5. She needs to bring it back and try and get control of this objective to win the game. Can she break through the lines of these guys? Let's dice off to see who is going first. A 1 and a 3, so Liam gets to go first here. What's he gonna do? Let's find out. Right, so Liam has decided in the hero phase for the skinks to disappear and reappear over here because he wants to try and stop Castellan from stealing this objective. A wise move, I think, because obviously he was outnumbered on the other one. Down here, he's used Aspiring Presence on the Saurus Guard to stop them taking Battle Shock, and I think his aim is basically stay in a line stop the Liberators from getting to this objective. Meanwhile, shooting phase, these guys, we're just going to roll all 4 guys at once because it's the same stat line at Castellan. So hitting on 3s, 6s, potentially doing more damage. Any 6s? No 6s, but a fair few hits there. Wounding on 4s. Just the one armor save of 3+ on Castellan, which she fails. He drops a wound, that's him down to what, 4?
Yeah.
And I believe that is it for shooting, Liam. Yeah?
Yep.
No problem. Assault phase. I'm guessing this guy's going to be charging.
Yeah. Both the Old Bloods.
Yep. So which one first?
That one.
Albino?
Yeah.
And of course that 8's going to make it in. He'll go straight through that gap there.
That one.
And this one? Yeah, 3, and that was a 5, so he's definitely going to make it in as well. Now it is Liam's turn, so he gets to nominate who attacks first. So who's going first?
My leader will go first.
So, yep, the general, how many attacks does he have?
He is using the War Spear, which has 4 attacks, but then he's also got the
Command trait for +1.
attacks. Yes.
Yep.
He is hitting on 4s.
2 hits, wounding on.
Wounding on 3s, reroll on 1s.
Yep. Reroll the 1. So just the 1 wound. Any rend on that spear?
Yep. -1 to rend, and it's 2 wounds.
Right, so that's a 4. Now Lucy rerolling the 1, which she makes. So it's now Lucy's turn, but we'll have to work out whether she wants to divide her attacks. Right, so the Liberator's going next. Lucy's splitting her attacks this way. This one guy and the Grand Hammer is going after the Old Blood there. Grand Hammer will be the white. Hits on 4s. That's only 1 hit and doesn't wound. Next up, we've got one guy here that can go for Liam's general. 2 attacks. 1 hit. And 1 wound. No rend, Liam.
4.
So the general takes a wound.
He's down to 6 wounds.
7 wounds he has.
Yep.
Wow. He is one tough nut. Meanwhile, we've then got 11 attacks from the rest of the Liberators onto the Saurus Guard. And on 4s. And then wounding on 3s. Only 2.
Wow.
No rend. 5 up. 1 more goes down. Just taking the 1 from there. Meanwhile, Liam now gets to attack back, so you've got the Old Blood and the rest of the Saurus as well.
I'll go with the Old Blood.
Yep.
4 attacks for this one. Hitting on 4s. No, down.
Wow. Lucy's got nothing else to attack back with. So Liam, it's then over to your Saurus Guard. So how many have we got left? 5. Right, so 12 attacks. Hit on 4s, was it?
Yes, hitting on 4s. Hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. 4s.
Wow. So a couple of hits.
Not bad.
And then wounding on 4s, but you get to reroll the 1s because you're within 5 inches of the Old Blood. So what's that? 1 wound, but rerolling the 2 1s. So that's 3 wounds, no rend, Lucy. 3 up, rerolling the 1s. So that's 2 wounds suffered. 1 is already wounded, so he would die, and the next one along take the wounds. And that is it. So Battle Shock. Unfortunately, Lucy did lose 1 model there. So don't roll a 6.
Oh,
That's
really?
twice. But conveniently, you can take the one that's just lost 1 wound. Right. Right, so Lucy has done her movement. Lord Castellan has used the +1 armor save from his beaming lantern. He's going to charge in here, and Lucy's going to try and split her attacks between the 2 units. At this point though, she does control this objective and this one. The Retributors are going to try and come across here and do some damage, but looking at realistically, she's counting up the models within 6 inches, and Liam's got, I think it was 9 within 6 inches, whereas Lucy only has 4 Liberators. So those guys would have to get across into the charge and then do a lot of damage and pile in quite far to have more models than Liam, and even then Liam could literally just take them from here if Lucy does poorly, denying her this objective. Now if you control the same number of objectives in this game, you look at points remaining, and as it stands, because you count the whole points of units, these 2 skinks from each unit are counting their full squad, and Liam has 640 left, Lucy has 620. So she has to kill an entire unit in this turn in order to win by a minor victory for having more points rather than controlling objectives. So straight into the assault phase. Yep. So Castellan rolls a 9, so straight in the middle of the 2.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the Retributors need a 6-inch charge. They're 6.5 inches away. Lucy, how far? 6 exactly. Right, so Lucy's charged in at the old one, but after piling moves, if we work that out, she wants 2 Star Soul Maces to go on there. The hammers do have a 2-inch reach though, so if he goes there, he can actually attack the squad, and he is going to just make it round, and we'll have to measure to see if this guy is in range. Right, so it is only a 1-inch reach, but because of there's no rules to not overlap bases in Sigmar, Lucy can get both hammers in, and the one hammer attacking at the Saurus Guard. So first off, 2 Star Soul Mace at the old one for 4 wounds. We've then got 5 attacks from the Prime and 1 Retributor, hitting on 3s. The 6 does 2 mortal wounds instantly. So that's 6 wounds that he's lost so far of his 7. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds at -1 rend for 2 damage each. So you need to pass both of these. What's your save?
4.
So drop to a 5 unless you, or you ignore rend.
Yeah.
So 4, you need to pass both. Oh, and he's down.
Dead.
3 and a 1. So that is at least potentially going to score Lucy a minor victory, depending on how she does against the Saurus Guard. Still got 1 hammer to go against the Saurus Guard, so 2 attacks, 1 hit, 1 wound, -1 rend, but Saurus Guard ignore it. No, and that kills 2 because it's 2 damage. Right, so next up, Liam's Saurus Guard. There's 4 here and there's 6 back here, so that's 10 attacks at the Liberators. 4s and 4s, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, that's not so good. 2 hits.
Yep.
Wounded on 4s.
Reroll.
Does this guy grant the ability as well?
Yep. He's
Cool.
got 1.
2 wounds, 3 up, re-rolling 1s. She passes them both. Right, they are safe. So,
Bites.
my apologies. So hitting on 5s. That's what, 4 hits?
Yep.
Wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s.
Yep.
It was 3s, wasn't it?
Reroll.
4s, re-rolling 1s. 2 wounds, 3 wounds. And she passes them all. Lucy, who's next? Castellan?
Yep.
Now what you're doing, because he's only got 3 attacks, are you just going to direct them all at one of the one unit?
2 damage each.
True, so you can split them 2 and 1 and hope that you get lucky.
2 and 1.
Right, so do you want to use 2 purple and 1 white dice? All hit. Wounding on 3s, is it? 1 wound on each of these. Liam, these don't ignore rend, do they?
No.
Right, so -1 rend for his axe?
Yeah.
Right, so 2 guys at this side first of all. 4+,
Yep.
Oh.
they're there, and the other 2,
Yep.
staying there. So unfortunately, the Seraphon do control this objective. Lucy getting very, very close to taking that back with Castellan there. Right, that's over to Liam. So 2 attacks from one of these. Oh, you all blood.
To go into them. 5 attacks.
Yep, because of his command trait.
Yep. Hitting on 4s.
3. Wounding.
On 4s, rerolling 1s.
2 wounds and -1 rend, was it?
-1 rend, 2 wounds.
4. It's a 2 that kills 1 guy. Now Lucy, what do you want to do? Do you want to kill this guy off, who is within 6 inches? Because your Grand Hammer does more damage, but by the time he piles in, he should be within range as well. So you want to kill that one? And then I presume you're going with these next.
Yeah.
So he's going to pile into him, which means you get, what's down here, 9 attacks from the Liberators, and then 2 from your Grand Hammer as well. So hitting on 4s. Only a couple of misses there. Wounding on 3s. Wow, not bad. So that's 5 saves and then 1 that does 2 damage. So 5 normal saves first. It does ignore the rend though, so 5 saves first. 1, 2, 3. 3 go down, and then 1 with -1 rend, so you're doing 2 damage. So 5 up. If you fail this, it'll kill 2. And he passes it. Right. Lucy's got nothing else to attack with, so 2 lots of skinks, Liam. 4 attacks between them, I think. Right, so Liam has nothing else to attack with, and so basically we're going to swing with both units here at the same time. So 5s and 5s. 2 hits. 1 wound. 3 up on Castellan. Loses a wound, but it doesn't kill him, drops him to 3. Right, battle shock phase, these guys lost 1. Don't roll another 6. 3, so that is fine. Let's work out who is on what objective. So this is the battlefield as it stands. Liam controls this objective for having 4 skinks within 6 inches. He has 7 models within 6 inches here. 6 Saurus Guard, this guy in the end here, unfortunately is out, plus the old one. Lucy only has 4 Liberators, 3 Liberators within range, so Liam controls that one. Lucy controls this one, as she didn't have any enemy models within 6, and she still controls that one, which means on major victory points it is a draw, but we've just added up the points for models destroyed. Liam destroyed the Dracoth and the Judicators, totaling 380 points. Meanwhile, Lucy destroyed the Bastiladon for 300, the 10-man unit of Skinks for 80 points, putting them at a draw. But in that very last round, going after that old one and destroying him puts Lucy at 480 points to Liam's 380. So that is a minor victory for the Stormcast. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this battle report. Yes, it was only 1,000 points, but as I said, everyone's armies are expanding. Liam will hopefully be back with more Lizardmen, not Seraphon.
Thank you.
To take on maybe some new four. How about some Khorne, Liam? Some Demons of Khorne.
I'm happy to do that. I do a lot better against.
Yep, the Stormcast really showing what they are made of today, despite not quite being able to get table control. The Skink's ability to pop in and out of cover like they did there, proven vital to denying Lucy a couple of objectives. But that's it for today's battle report, folks. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Big thanks to Lucy and Liam for coming round and filming today's game. Please check out the rest of the channel. There is more Age of Sigmar on the way. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.